Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring something, well, a bit spectral. We're looking at why certain ideas, certain historical problems just seem to stick around, almost haunting us.
That's right. And if you've ever felt like history isn't quite done or that there are these invisible forces shaping things, then Jacques Derrida's Specters of Marx is really relevant.
It is. We're diving into his 1993 book, which came out of a very specific moment, think early 90s.
The Berlin Wall just down.
Exactly. And this huge wave of, well, triumphalism. People were talking about the end of history.
Liberal democracy had won, capitalism had won. That was the narrative.
And into that steps Derrida. There was a conference asking whither Marxism, where's it going?
Right. Is it dead? Is it irrelevant?
And Derrida's response, which became this book, wasn't about defending or dismissing Marxism as an ideology, but looking at its haunting presence, its legacy.
And that's our mission today, really, to unpack this key idea he develops, hauntology.
Ontology sounds spooky.
It's a clever play on words, but it's more than that. It's a way to think about presence, absence, how echoes of the past and even promises for the future aren't just gone or not yet here.
They're active now.
They're actively shaping our reality.
Yeah.
And this helps us see the ghosts influencing, economics, justice, everything.
Okay, let's get into this then. What if the really vital parts of our past, maybe even our future, aren't just gone or waiting to happen?
But they're actively haunting us right now.
Yeah, demanding something from us. So a key phrase for Derrida here comes from Shakespeare, Hamlet.
The time is out of joint.
Right. And it captures that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? When the world feels off, disconnected.
Like things aren't lining up properly. We've all felt that, I think.
That sense that the present just doesn't fit right.
Exactly. And Derrida uses this to argue against that neat linear view of time, past, present, future, all nicely separated.
He says it's not like that.
No. He argues time is inherently disjointed, anachronic. Things from different times bleed into each other.
And that's where the specter comes in.
Precisely. A specter is something that doesn't fit that neat timeline. It's a revenant one who returns. It upsets the order.
Its coming and going isn't predictable.
Right. It's not just a memory. It's an active, unsettling return.
It makes you think immediately of Marx himself writing the Communist Manifesto back in 1848.
His specter of communism.
Yeah. Back then, that was a future threat, wasn't it? A specter to come that haunted the old powers of Europe.
A prophecy, a warning. But then, fast forward to the early 90s, Derrida's time of writing.
After the Soviet collapse.
And that same specter is declared dead. Finished. In the past.
But Derrida asks, what if it isn't? What if it's still haunting us even as something supposedly gone?
And this leads him to the visor effect.
Explain that a bit, the visor effect.
It's that creepy feeling of being watched by something you can't actually see, like a ghost looking at you through the visor of its helmet. You feel the gaze, but the source is hidden.
An asymmetry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A spectral asymmetry. It disrupts how we normally see things, reminds us of that disjointed time. It creates this unmasterable disproportion.
An imbalance we can't control.
And he suggests this disproportion even shapes the law, because our systems struggle with these unseen, enduring influences.
Wow. So these ghosts, they're not just literary fluff, they're tied to ethics, politics.
Absolutely. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. Derrida argues you can't have any real ethics or politics without respecting these ghosts.
Well, so who?
Of those who aren't presently living. So victims of past violence, past oppressions, their stories still demand something from us.
Justice, recognition.
Yes. And also those not yet born. We have a responsibility to them for the future, for the planet.
So our decisions now impact people way before us and way after us.
Constantly. This being with specters, as he calls it, becomes a fundamental politics of memory, of inheritance of generations. It forces us to think beyond our own lifespan.
It's a justice that's, well, bigger than just the here and now, bigger than our current laws.
It's a spectral moment, a justice that's maybe not fully present, maybe never perfectly achievable, so it can't just be boiled down to existing rights. It's always sort of to come.
A future promise.
Yeah. A demand that pushes us to see that the scales are never perfectly balanced, and our responsibility stretches across time. It's about what ought to be just.
Okay, so this idea is things returning, haunting.
Wow.
That leads us to hauntology.
His famous term.
It's a play on ontology, right? The study of being, of what is.
Exactly. And Derrida says that haunting, does not mean to be present in a simple, solid way.
It's not tangible.
Right. And he suggests ontology by trying to define what is clearly often tries to get rid of the spectral, to exercise the ghosts.
You want certainty. Ontology accepts ambiguity.
Embraces the elusive, yeah. And what's fascinating is how he links this directly to economics, and specifically to Marx.
Even though Marx wanted to dispel ghosts, right? Get rid of mysticism.
He did, in works like the German ideology.
Yeah.
But Derrida points out that Marx himself used very well spectropoetic language when describing the commodity.
The mystical character of the commodity.
Yeah, Marx talked about the metamorphosis of commodities, this almost magical transformation that happens in the market.
Which brings us to that famous example from Capital, the table.
The wooden table.
It's just an ordinary table, but when it becomes a commodity,
It becomes something sensuously supersensible. It's still wood, but it takes on this other thing, this social life.
more than just its physical properties.
Derrida pushes this. He says the commodity isn't just an object. It becomes an apparition. It gets non-sensuous qualities.
Things we can't touch or see directly.
Right. It's not just the wood. It becomes, and he uses this list, life, thing, beast, object, automaton, in a word, specter.
Wow. So the commodity itself is a kind of ghost.
In a way, it gains this weird automatic autonomy in the market. It seems to act on its own, driving desire, setting values.
Creating these fantastic or prodigious creatures, as he puts it.
Yes, things that feel uncanny, unsettling, and this creates this deep undecidability around it.
You can't pin it down. Is it just useful? Or is it this powerful market force?
It blurs the lines. Is it a thing or a social relation? Marx even said the market gives the table feet, a head, turns it into a being that can stand on its head. It defies normal logic.
Okay, the aha moment then. What does this mean for us navigating the world? That the economy isn't just stuff.
Pretty much. The economic world isn't purely material. It's profoundly shaped by these spectral forces, these social relations, that take on, as Marx said, a fantastic form of a relation between things.
You mean example, like my phone.
Perfect example. Its
Right.
use value is clear. Calls, apps, whatever. But the moment it's a product on the market, it's loaded with exchange value.
Status, brand image.
Identity,
Yeah.
access, all those invisible things.
Never
Their
leave.
brand image, the perceived value, the hidden labor relations. Those are the spectral forces.
But isn't the primary thing still its use? A table is for putting things on. How is the ghost of exchange always there?
Ah, that's key. Derrida insists exchange value haunts use value, and the other way around too. A thing's pure usefulness, its use value, is kind of compromised from the start because it's always already promised to exchange.
Meaning?
Meaning before you even buy it for its use, it's been priced, marketed, compared. It's already embedded in that system of exchange. The ghost is already there.
So if we only focus on the practical use,
We can become blind to exchange value. We forget the invisible network, labor, capital, global trade that gives it market value. That ghost shapes its production, consumption, even our desire for it.
that really changes how you look at everyday objects. Okay, let's shift to Marx's legacy itself. Derrida draws a line, doesn't he, between rigid Marxist doctrine
Like a fixed dogma.
and a more open spirit of Marxism.
Right.
What's the core of that spirit for him?
It's crucial, this distinction. The spirit isn't a closed system like, say, Soviet ideology. It's dynamic. It's about radical critique,
Questioning everything.
relentlessly questioning power structures, assumptions, but also, crucially, self-critique.
Willingness to question itself.
Yes. It has to be open to transformation, open to an absolute future, a future that's not mapped out, always open to new possibilities,
A messianic spirit, he calls it.
in the sense of carrying a promise, a hope for justice. But it's indeterminate, abstract, desert-like, no easy answers, no blueprint,
Just the drive.
the drive towards something better.
Right.
And it's active, not just to decipher, but to act,
Yeah.
make the interpretation into a transformation that changes the world.
It's not just theory, it's about action.
Right.
And there's that great irony, too. Marx himself supposedly said, "What is certain is that I am not a Marxist."
Exactly. It shows that inherent openness, that resistance to being pinned down, even to the founder himself.
He couldn't be contained by a doctrine.
And Derrida argues this spirit of critique is still vital today for things like global debt.
The foreign debt.
Yeah. He argues you can't really tackle these huge burdens, this kind of neocolonialism through debt, without that critical Marxist spirit.
The spirit that analyzes how states, international law, the market all interact.
And often perpetuate inequality. Think about countries still paying off colonial debts. Who benefits? Who's truly free? That spirit forces those questions.
And this is all happening against that backdrop we mentioned, the end of history idea, Fukuyama's argument.
The triumph of liberal democracy.
Yeah, that very optimistic take.
Derrida pushes back hard, calls Fukuyama's thesis inconsistent, an artifact trying to paper over the cracks.
Because for Derrida, democracy isn't finished.
Never. It's always a democracy to come. There's always a gap, a failure, inadequation, disjunction at its heart.
It's a promise, not a settled state.
Exactly. It exists in that gap, that out-of-jointness. It's a constant project.
And you can see how current systems are still out of joint, as Derrida would say. Our political systems.
He points to how things like media, techno-telemedia apparatuses, distort representation. Think about social media, misinformation.
How does that affect real democratic choice?
And international law, too. Still largely dominated by particular nation-states with the most power.
Economic, military power.
Leading to incoherence, discontinuity, inequality, undermining global justice.
Which brings us to another unsettling idea he explores, autoimmunity.
Right. This is where a system, trying to defend itself, actually turns its defenses against itself.
How so?
Well, the system attacked its own foundations. Think about debates over security versus liberty or free speech versus hate speech. The tools meant to protect democracy can sometimes undermine it.
So the cure can harm the patient.
In a way, yes. It shows how even in quote-unquote normal times, democracy can generate these internal contradictions, these vulnerabilities where it acts against its own principles.
Hashtag tag outro.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground, from Shakespearean ghosts to Marxist commodities.
From ontology to the critical spirit.
And this idea of a democracy that's always to come, it really shows how past, present, future are all tangled up.
But it's not a neat line. It's a complex, haunted tapestry.
And it's not just philosophy, is it?
Not at all. Derrida gives us tools to understand the persistent ghosts shaping our world right now. He talks about a kind of reverse nostalgia. What's that?
Not longing for the past, but longing for futures that didn't happen, futures canceled by history.
Unfulfilled promises.
Exactly. And they haunt us by their absence, making us ask, what if?
So, a final thought for you listening. If the future can only be for ghosts, as Derrida says, what ghosts are you living with?
Consciously or unconsciously? What promises, what responsibilities to those long gone or not yet here are shaping your present moment?
And maybe ask yourself, in what ways might the time still be out of joint for you? And could that be an invitation?
To engage critically with the world in a new way.